friends, I hope you're ready for some more first impressions this weekend because I have 3 more exciting ones for you that I need you to know about. Hello friends! Happy Saturday! So very excited that you're here. Yes, I'm posting on a Saturday, which always feels really weird, honestly. I did have first impressions yesterday, so if you're curious about those and what else I've been reviewing, definitely check out that video. I have some new ones for you. I think they're like shorter reads, and I think they're really good if you're sort of maybe short on time, except for one of them. I think they'd be really great reads to like decompress with at the end of the day, but I think the biggest thing is just they're on the shorter side and not as big as a commitment. So let's go ahead and talk about which 3 I will be reading, or excuse me, reviewing. The first one is The Oblivious Girl and The Maidenly Man. This was very wonderful, and it's not too long, and maybe it does look long, but I'll tell you why. I feel like it's really good if you're short on time, especially. So thankful that I finally read this because it's been on my TBR for such a hot minute. The other one I read is actually an older title, and I've been meaning to read it for probably about 2 years now, and that is 4 Kisses in Secret. This is a digital-only anthology one-shot kind of thing. There's 4 stories in 1 volume. It was absolutely amazing. I should have read it sooner. And then last but not least, I read this morning, and I'm really hoping I can do it justice, is volume 1 of The Credits Roll into the Sea. This one is also shorter and was so much more than what I was expecting. But before we go into all the rambles and the yapping, let's go back to The Oblivious Girl and start from, I guess, the order that I read them. So yes, this volume is about our male lead. I don't remember their names at all. Rintaro. I'll say I should have remembered that because he shares the same character name as in Haikyuu. But Rintaro is a cafe owner. He works at this cafe, and he is starting to develop feelings for his pretty regular customer. Her name is Luna, and yeah, he's starting to have a crush on her, or does have one. But the thing is, she opens up to him that she's more or less afraid of men. Something happened to her, and it's really affected how she's able to interact with men. But the thing is, she doesn't feel that way with Rintaro, which leaves him feeling a whole bunch of feelings because he likes her a lot, and he doesn't want to let that on, though he's very, very respectful. And she asks him, like, hey, you know, I have this fear. Would you be willing to help me overcome this through small things like them holding hands? Oh gosh, what was another one? There was one of sharing interests and being very physically close. And he is saying yes because he really wants to help her, but he's also very blushy faced more often than not. And she really, like when they say the oblivious girl, yes, woman is oblivious, but I don't think it's going to stay that way forever. I really, really enjoyed this. If there was only one thing I would say that was not my favorite part, is that for at least half of this volume, it starts out the same way. That he's saying, Luna's one of my regular customers, she told me she's afraid of men, and I'm attracted to her romantically, and I realized that it started on Twitter, so it has that repetitiveness simply because if you're not reading and you're just randomly seeing on the internet, you need some kind of context, but in a single volume here, unfortunately does get repetitive. But that was not a deal breaker in my enjoyment at all. Rintaro has the most wonderful faces. He's so upbeat and bright, and he's always willing and ready to help her. I really loved how he liked making her some dishes. Specifically, it came to cakes and whatnot, and he blushes a lot, let me tell you. There were several different photos that I took of just him alone because I'm like, he is just so cute, and you just can't help but cheer for him and root for him and hope that maybe Luna here will not be as oblivious that typically most men are not just gonna get blushy for no reason. Typically, I would say, especially in this situation, he's getting blushy because he really likes you. That is why he's acting that way. Oh, here, wait, here's another one. Here's another one. Yeah, he almost confesses feelings. And that's what I was going to say, is he does such a great, amazing, incredible job of keeping, I wouldn't say a boundary, but a respectful line. He really doesn't want his feelings to not be a burden to Luna, but he wants her to heal. And he's thankful to be part of that healing process. And we do see updates along the way, but it's also really hard for him at moments like this not to just let his feelings all out. And I admired him for not Here's another one. I'm sorry. I just love his faces so incredibly much. But I admired him for not sharing his feelings when I can't even imagine how hard that is and how much he really likes her. And he's afraid of bugs, y'all. He was afraid of bugs. I felt so bad for him, but he really, really tried. And I will say that Luna does have some character growth, I think you could say, because we do, as I said before, we see her starting very slowly to be less oblivious. And there's a very key moment where we see, I think she's aware more than maybe Rentaro gives her credit for, maybe even that she gives herself credit for, maybe even for me, the reader. I think she's starting to be less oblivious. And I have seen I have seen spoilers online because after the manga license, I went and followed the creator right away. And I went through a bunch of her images that were, like where it's like on Twitter, it's like posts, replies, media. And I went and looked at a whole bunch of them. And so I know I'm going to love what's to come. It's just a little, oh, look at this picture. Look at him. He is so precious, y'all. The first thing I thought of after I read this is adorable. This is adorable. And it's because of Rentaro, because he's so earnest and he's so helpful and so kind and has the best expressions that I just could not get enough of. I mean, I could say I try, I've shared before not to buy manga just for lovely art. I have to like the story, but if you like some lovely art, this is one, yes, that I would say you could just read it for his expressions and seeing him think all the things, do all the things. It's really, really special and a lot of fun. And I'm very eager and excited to see how this story is going to unfold, where we don't have that repetitiveness and that it's filling up with, I feel like, more variety of scenes. Like there's already a variety of scenes in this one, but I felt like those pages could be dedicated to a different kind of panel that's unrelated to what we already know. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. There were 2 little bonus stories at the end, and this one was so cute. I really love how it unfolded. And honestly, I just deeply enjoyed myself, my time reading this. I felt my heart was lighter after I finished it. It's very similar to, say, like Play It Cool Guys or Mr. Villain's Day Off, where the chapters aren't really cohesive, where you don't have to know or remember what happened in the previous chapters or 3 chapters ago. No, it's freshly new, and it's not really until I feel like once you can see that it's gained, like the series or the story has gained momentum, and maybe that's when a publisher picked it up and we're not having that repetitiveness I mentioned before of like, hey, he likes her, she's a customer, then you really see that a story is starting to come together. I mean, I think the only thing that really, I guess, made it more feel like an overarching story is seeing that slow, steady growth in Luna of how she's overcoming her fear. And I really thought that the backstory and what happened was very upsetting, yes, but I also thought it was done well or portrayed well in where she is right now. It felt realistic to me, and I'm very thankful that she has Rentaro in her life to show her not all men are like that one man that unfortunately affected you in such a great way, that there are really good men out there who genuinely care for you. So overall, this was wonderful. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm very eager and excited for volume 2, and I think it's like the first time I've just gone through, I'm like, look at this illustration, look at this page, look at this page. It's just, oh look, and here's when the ladybug's on him. Unfortunately, he freaked out. He freaked out after that. But it's a great little story. And again, if you don't mind slice of life, not having everything be one big arching story in this first volume and more of a setup and just seeing fun, different moments, I guess like sort of like vignettes, yes, please give this one a try, especially for Rentaro. Do it for the adorable Rentaro because he's so sweet. He's so amazing. The next manga I want to talk about is 4 Kisses in Secret. This was everything. I really, really enjoyed it. It is an anthology, has 4 short stories, and the only thing that they have in common is that the kisses are done in secret. I enjoyed each one of them, but the first story was absolutely my favorite. So I'll try and keep them sort of vague since they are fairly short. I mean, I read the manga very quickly, it felt like. I was updating on Goodreads as I was reading each chapter. The first one is about a childhood friends to lovers, where she's had a crush on her childhood friend for such a long time. He's a little bit older than her, I think by 3 years. She's faking an injury so that he can come pick her up from school and she can spend extra time with him before it's either him or her that are going to university. The next one is about a young woman, I believe she's a waitress, and she has been trying to cook dishes that I think her manager, I think he's a manager's chef that she works with, and he keeps saying that her food is disgusting and that despite that she keeps trying. Each time her food does not taste very delicious, but there will be things that change with that. The third one was pretty unique. It's about the female lead is the younger sister of her older brother, and his best friend comes over and he tells her like, hey, you're the only person that I really get to fall asleep next to and have like a really peaceful, good sleep, because he ends up somehow falling asleep next to her and he's like, this is the best sleep I've ever had. So he's like, just during exam week, can you let me sleep with you? Not literally, but like put his head on her lap or just sleep beside her, and that blooms into a romance. And then the fourth one was a senpai and kohai. She's on the library committee and somehow the kohai gets roped to also being on it, but he's pretty unhinged. He's not quiet and he's very open how much that he really likes his senpai, and they have like a staring contest kind of thing that also leads to a romance. Each one of them had very happy endings. I don't remember if I shared it before, but the first one by far was definitely my favorite. I felt the most butterflies from that because I really love where she's just liked him for so long and she is sort of doing one last desperate measure of faking an injury so she can spend time with him, and he does these really sweet things for her and she's trying not to read into it, and then something happens where he finally realizes like, hey, that she likes me, and how that developed was just so good. Their kiss was very swoon-worthy. Honestly, all the kisses were very swoon-worthy. I really loved each of the kisses a lot and how they were done. The cooking one I thought was very unique because I really loved how he was, and it's funny because as a reader, I'm like, girl, you should see the signs. As a reader, I was like, you should see the signs, because the guy mentions, you know, any man will eat the food from the girl that he likes simply because he likes her, despite if it tastes good or not. I'm like, girl, you should see that's why he's eating your food. Even if your food doesn't taste good, it's because he likes you. I loved the initiative that she took in really trying to make him happy. It led to sort of a mini disaster, but their kiss I felt was definitely the most like dangerous. Not where it was like scary for the female lead or anything like that, but just of how they were able to relate their kiss to a food analogy. I thought that was really good. The third one was probably my least favorite, even though I really liked the older brother's friend. He just had a really nice smile. He was a fun character overall, and I have to give him points for being pretty smooth of how he went about eventually saying, hey, I like you, and why he did what he did. The art was really good. I do feel that the fourth story, though, had some of the best chemistry between any and all of the leads, and there were so many different expressions. Like, you can really see Sensei, like, grew in her skills. Now, she is a creator of Getting Closer to You, by the way, and I'm not really sure which one was first. I wouldn't be surprised if the anthology came first and then she started working on Getting Closer to You. And then the other titles, by the way, Getting Closer to You is very, very good. I really enjoyed it a lot. You should check it out. But I really feel like you could see just how many funny expressions, fun expressions, really blushy moments all really come together in a short amount of time. Like, I was really impressed by the art and the storytelling specifically of this one. It didn't give me the same butterflies as the first chapter. That ultimately was my favorite, but I felt just as, I don't know, I guess looking at like the writing and the storyboarding and everything, I was very, very impressed with that. And I did love how it stemmed from a staring contest, and I will say I do enjoy when you have like a male lead who is much more open about his feelings for the female lead, and I just thought it very intriguing that he's like, I know what you're thinking right now, your face is telling me everything. So it was nice to like see this kind of the dynamic I've seen before of the kohai and senpai, and where you have like the senpai really like against their relationship and anything happening, and the kohai like, well, I really like you, and really trying to get her to like him back. I've seen that, but I guess I just feel like when it came to the whole steering contest and how the romance developed, it was very compelling. It was very good. So I really enjoyed all of the four stories. Easily an anthology that I would come back to because of how much I enjoyed it. The only downside is it's not available in print. It's digital only. But I'm like, man, now I know why all those years ago I picked it up on a Kodansha sale and it was like 99 cents. I'm like, well, I should have read it sooner, honestly, because I would say this one and then then it's something First Kiss, but it's the same creator as Fall in Love, You False Angels. I would say these are my two favorite anthologies that I've read that have really stuck with me. I just had a really great time, and I know I've come back to First Kiss. I also do have a video review on that if you're curious of my thoughts on that one. So it's really cool and exciting to read this manga and do a first impression, even though it was not the series, or excuse me, the title I was planning to review. I'll talk about why in my reading wrap-up video in a few weeks, but I'm thankful, so thankful I gave it a shot. So I would say if you're looking for something where, again, you're short on time, you want a little bit of a variety of tropes, I would say, but you want at least one common theme with having really swoony kisses, yes, yes. It went by very fast, and the art was absolutely very, very wonderful, and just so thankful that I finally read it and can recommend it now. And then last but not least is volume 1 of The Credits Roll Into the Sea. I really hope I can do this volume justice. I do feel it has much more depth than the other stories. That's not to knock them, because obviously I really, really enjoyed them. But I was very surprised of how I felt and reacted to this story. So it's about our main female lead. Her name is Umiko, and she is 65 years old. We find out that a few months prior, her husband unfortunately has passed away, and she's sort of just going through the motions a little bit. I wouldn't say she's necessarily grieving. I mean, yes, there's definitely moments where you see that she does grieve for her husband and she misses him, but it's just sort of her new norm, and there's not much mix up or change up until she makes a decision when she meets a friend or neighbor on the streets, and she decides to go see this super action movie. What was it, like Die Max or Max Die or something like that? And they're like, you're seeing that? And she goes and she starts remembering how when she watches movies, especially when she was with her husband, her favorite part was not watching the movie itself, it was watching other people's reactions to the movie that they are watching. That was her ultimate favorite part, and when she's leaving the movie, she ends up bumping into a young man who goes to film university, and she asks him for a favor due to something that happened. He comes over and he's telling her about, that you need to start making a movie because of how you enjoy watching people react to these films. And she sort of laughs it off a little bit because I guess you could say sort of her age, but she bumps into him again later on because she realized that when he helped her, he left his pencil case, and she gets opened up to more or less like indie films and seeing these students work on these films that she thought were very touching. So much so, it ends up leading to her going to that same film university and wanting to create her own film. This was far more emotional, thought-provoking than I initially expected. I do feel I was very hesitant going in. Now, I have mentioned I was very excited for this volume, don't get me wrong, but there was a lot of hype behind this, and I confess I do get a little bit nervous about really hyped up series that I'm not familiar with in any kind of way, because I'm like, I don't want to just be picking this up just for the hype, but the hype definitely influenced me, and I really, really enjoyed it, so much so that I'm very interested in seeing how is she going to make this movie. She's a very fun heroine. I didn't know how much I'd be able to, hopefully it doesn't sound rude, but I really didn't know how much I would be able to relate to her with her being in her 60s. I'm not in that same place that she is, and I was like, I just don't know, but I found her very fun, engaging, a little bit quirky, and very relatable to my surprise. I especially love her internal commentary where people are like, oh, you remember who I am? You have a good memory. And she's like, I'm not that old just yet. I really love how she questions some of the things when some of the students are like, whoa, she went and saw that? Talk about the feels. And she's like, there's that word again. What are they trying to say? And how I guess she really is giving her all for this passion that she is discovering. I thought that was so amazing and so incredible. I mean, I think about when I went to community college, and I remember there being a man in his 60s and 70s, and I thought it was the coolest thing. Like, when they say you're never too old to go back to school, I fully believe that. And it was fun reading a heroine who's actively doing that. I'm like, girl, you doing some pretty major classes. There's a difference between going to university and community college. So it was really amazing to see her grow in this passion. I love with that the whole sea analogy and how she's starting to feel this passion sort of bloom where you're hearing the sound of the ocean. And when you turn the page, that you can see the water just rushing in, and she is starting to be swept up in this excitement and this again, this passion. It was a very cool analogy. This is one of my favorite panels, by the way. I really love this. And I really love how this analogy comes into play. You know, when you have a passion, I wouldn't say you have to be careful, but you can get so caught up in the fun and the excitement of like, yes, I love this. And then in her case, you know, she needs to film this movie and it seems like the other people around her are just not quite as excited to film this movie. And she's like, I'm starting to feel a little bit anxious. And they talk about, you know, what's the difference between people who are makers, you know, making things, to people who are not makers. And I love what she says. It's the people who decide to set sail. I thought that was an incredible way to really bring in this first volume of the oceans coming in, but she's got to go and set sail on the ocean, even when the waves are being choppy or being crazy, or even when she feels like she's sinking. You know, she has to continue on this course that she's going to sail no matter what. And that is where I found me. I was already invested in the volume, but I would say at that moment, it gives me goosebumps of where I'm like, I want to see where her story goes, where and how it unfolds, because she has this moment where she is struck with inspiration, and it was a very good moment. Oh man, it was like, this is it, this is awesome. And yeah, after she has that inspiration, she's like, I'm gonna make a movie. And I'm like, yes, we want to see you make a movie. And I would say though, not only was it really interesting about her, but we also have a side character, sort of, he's not the main character. His name is Kai. I really loved their relationship, how these two interact, how he sort of scarily encourages her to start to get into filmmaking, to take it seriously. I was like, you know, you could have said it a little bit different there, buddy. But I was really surprised of how we even got some of his backstory. It really shows that, you know, when you devalue your passion and because you're afraid of maybe that you'll fail or how people will take it, because in her case, she's 65 and it's like, you're going into filmmaking now. And she's like, you know, it's just a hobby. And it's like, yeah, it can be a hobby, but girl, you know, and I've done it. I felt hitting hard. I said, I have definitely done that with YouTubing of, you know, I don't think I'm gonna make it. It's just a hobby. For me, I'm very passionate about YouTube. I love filming these videos. I love coming on here and doing this and talking about manga and manhwa. And it's like, you don't have to knock yourself because you feel maybe, again, unsure, you know, I wouldn't say insecure, but you know, those insecurities can hit, that anxiety can hit. And so it's interesting of when Umiko has a moment saying it's just a hobby, of how she sort of unintentionally hurt his feelings and how that came to be. I really hope that there is healing for him and for Umiko too, and how they're going to come together. I am very excited for that. I was really invested in their relationship and how these two have unknowingly come together. And I do want to show one of my favorite chapter pages because they both just look so, cool to me. It's this one here. Don't they look great? They look so sharp. I was like, man, they look so cool. And they really are. I think they will have a special non-romantic relationship, friendship as the story goes on. And I'm excited to see how both of them will grow and not just Umiko, because I don't know, that was something I wasn't expecting. Like, yes, I want her to have friends, obviously, but I think there was just such a relatability to both of these characters that I wasn't prepared to get invested in anybody else but our heroine. And so for Kai to really get to know him on a more personal level, and maybe why he acts the way he does, why Umiko's words in that moment affected him the way they did, has really been unexpectedly gripping for me. I didn't know if I would want to read more, so I haven't really had it on my pre-order list. It's sort of been like on my maybe come back to in the future kind of list. But yeah, I really want it to be on my main one, and I don't know how we're gonna make that work. I'm gonna do what I need to do. But I really enjoyed this, and I would definitely recommend it. I can see why the series is so well loved, and I think regardless of one's age, I think somebody can read this and feel very inspired to pursue that passion that maybe you've put off due to time, or maybe you put off because you are anxious about doing something that is new. I mean, go going into your passion, it's a lot. It's a lot. And it comes, you know, with risk. And you sometimes, well, not sometimes, you don't know how the future will unfold. And I felt this just reminded me that even on the hard days, like, don't give up on your passion. And that there are people who will join alongside you, who are growing in their passion and their abilities, and can encourage you and help you to see things differently, just in general in the world, about yourself, about other people, that maybe you were not expecting. It was awesome. It was awesome. And I'm very glad that I gave it a chance. And again, eagerly looking forward to reading more, not only of this one, but Oblivious Girl. I mean, I would say 4 Kisses in Secret, but since that's an anthology, but eagerly looking forward to reading more of both of these. I feel like, I'll say all of them surprised me in some kind of way, but I feel like Kret's Roll in the Sea surprised me the most and really touched my heart. And it's one I would say, compared to the other two, it's not a lighthearted read per se. I think it's going to be emotional for some people because of how Umiko, her life is changing for a brand new chapter. So yeah, hopefully I did these series justice. Again, I'm very glad that I picked him up, gave him a chance, glad to be able to yap about them and encourage other people to give them a chance as well. Let me know though, which of these titles sounds most interesting to you? Have you read them? I would love to know. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!